Hey everyone. Um, Today I wanted to talk about my experience with borderline personality disorder and how I have overcome it. I feel like when we're diagnosed with a mood disorder or a personality disorder, we often feel like um, it's a life sentence. We'll never come out of that. And I went a lot of years thinking I was never going to come out of it, um, until one day I decided differently. um, I'm sorry for my ums. This is a spur of the moment thing. I have wanted to talk about it in the past, but we're at like a year ago when it was really on my mind, and it's just, you need to talk about this. um, so when I was 14 and my dad died and I was raped, I spiraled out of control. I started doing drugs. Um, I became addicted to sex. I was self harming. I was already self harming. I was already cutting myself. I started that when I was around 11, but it got much worse. I had several suicide attempts, and I was in and out of therapy um, for years. And in my very early 20s, I think I was 20, um, or maybe no, when I got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, I might have been 22. Um, at one point, they diagnosed me with being bipolar, and I was on all kinds of different medications for that, and I never got any better. Um, and I switched therapist and psychiatrist. I just totally went to a totally different office. When it got suggested that I had a borderline personality disorder, and when I read everything that I could about it, because at that point it was still, you didn't have, like, now I think you have like four different types of borderline personality disorder, and that it was there, that wasn't a thing then, or not that I could find. Anyways, it was still very um, just a mystery to a lot of people, and not well understood. Um, but reading some of the symptoms, it made the most sense to me that, okay, yes, this fits better than anything I've ever been told. Um, and I finally got, again, I was on many different medications and finally found something that seemingly worked well enough. And I was in, you know, counseling or therapy, whatever you want to call it, for several years, um, until I quit going. My type of borderline personality is more on uh, the depressive side of it, because I think you have there's quiet, which is highly functional, and they internalize. You have, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but one's very angry and outward expressions, and they blow up at people. And the other one that internalizes but cannot function, is not, can barely hold down a job, if at all. And that's where I fell in at. I could not hold down a job. Um, but uh, I also had explosive moments. Um, if and definitely if you did something that I felt hurt me, I would hurt you right back, and worse. I had a very, very sharp tongue. Um, and it was worse for anybody that was in a relationship with me. I'm not saying that. If honestly, it was worse for my son. I wouldn't like as just the whole experience was worse for my son, and I'll get to why in a minute. It wasn't the you hurt my feelings, so I hurt you back aspect of that. Um, Family members to a certain degree, but if you were in a relationship with me, it was a challenge. It was quite the challenge. Um, but beyond that, I internalized, I beat up on myself, I hated myself, I talked negatively to myself, I cut myself, I don't know if you can see the scar here, I don't know if that's picking it up. I mean, I missed hitting the artery by like, I think you said a millimeter. Um, so, and there's other scars on my arm too. Just that was my go-to. Taking a knife or something and just slashing at my arm. The where I had to have it sewed up, that was from an X-Acto knife. Um, Not a bright moment. But I would let things build up and build up and build up in me until I was in so much agony that I would just have, I don't know, this moment of, I don't know if you call it hysteria or mania, or I would just scream at the top of my lungs. I would just scream and scream and scream and cry. And God, I can't do this anymore. I want to go home. I don't belong here. Um, I hate my life. Why is this my life? Why can't I be normal? Why can't I be like everyone else? And I would scream for 10, 15, 20 minutes, screaming and crying until I was so exhausted. I would be lying in the floor, sweating, out of breath. Um, it was hell. Now, where the bad part for my son, when I was at my peak of doing that, my son was at the age he was starting to form memories. Um, so he was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, and he had no idea why I was screaming. And half the times he thought I was screaming at him. Um, so a lot of damage, a lot of psychological damage was done to my son, and it shows today. Um, Now, it's not just from me. He had other shit in his life that affected him greatly too. But that was a huge, huge factor in why he is struggling now. Uh, I got beyond that. Um, I want to say 2006 was my worst year, and it pretty much ended uh, that year. I'm not gonna. It was inspiration, being inspired by an artist. Um, being inspired to take my pain and make it art myself is what got me beyond all that. I have an occasional moment I just need to go out to the car and just scream, sure, because we're human, and I had a moment last night. But I have the presence of mind now to go like, I am losing my cool. I need to leave my surroundings and everyone in it and go throw a fit, get out this aggravation, and come back. So part of what helped me get out of all that, strangely, I'm not going to say it wasn't the medication and it wasn't counseling or therapy or whatever you want to call it, because therapy did give me a lot of tools to recognize certain things. But I started getting better, really getting better after I had quit therapy. But I remembered all of the things she taught me through therapy. So I can't say therapy is a wonderful thing. It if you have the right therapist, it can work wonders. Maybe not at the time you're getting therapy, because for me it didn't at the time. But it stuck with me, and I implemented the things she taught me later. But I became identified by being, I walked around, I have borderline personality disorder. Well, the more I said that, the more I clearly demonstrated that I had it, that I showed those qualities of, it's just I kept affirming to myself I had this problem. And one day I kind of got sick of it, and I said, you know what? I am breaking free of the borderline personality disorder. I refuse to believe that I am going to be stuck having this condition the rest of my life. I refuse. I freaking refuse to believe that. I can get better. My brain can heal. If other parts of me can heal, why can't this? I wasn't born like this. This condition comes after childhood trauma. I was molested by multiple people. I had a father that when he was alive was very emotionally absent. He was a hard ass and he was a weekend alcoholic. No, my childhood wasn't the worst. There's tons of people that had way worse childhoods than me. My parents didn't know anything about me being molested by a handful of different people. But I had major issues with my dad, even though it's not that, like I said, he wasn't a bad dad, but when he was drinking, he was an asshole. And he was a very angry man, and he had an explosive temper, and I was scared shitless of him. And I had, in my mind, the best mom in the whole world, until my dad died, and then she hated me. So, childhood trauma, all that kind of, like, it broke my psyche. It fragmented it. And the result of that turned into this disorder. Well, I wasn't like that before all the bullshit happened. So I could get better. I could get beyond it again and be more like who I was before the bullshit. Before I was conditioned by my surroundings and my circumstances. So I just started telling myself every day, when I really start telling myself this, I need to like kind of go back a little bit. I started recognizing, especially in my relationship, uh, with my second husband, like I'd be like, dude, I'm having a borderline personality moment. I'm having a moment. I'm having a moment. I mean, I would act out in a certain way and immediately realize what I just did. And like, if I can have the realization of what is happening, it means I can control this and get better. Um, I mean, it's, I'm recognizing it as soon as it happens. So that's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna break free of this. If I know what I'm doing, I can break free of this. Um, shift, sorry. So I just started telling myself that every day. I'm breaking free of borderline personality disorder, or BPD. We're gonna say it's quicker to say BPD. I'm breaking free of the symptoms of BPD. I'm breaking free of it. Um, and I don't know how long I went saying that to myself. It didn't seem like long, but it was probably a year or two. When I realized, you know what, I'm not having as many um, episodes. I don't cut myself. I'm not cutting myself anymore. Uh, I'm able to control my emotions and not like act or say. My draw towards drugs is less. Uh, I actually got to where I wanted to be free of the drugs. And that's a whole other ordeal in itself because, well, you've just got the addiction now. But, and I constantly was trying to break free of certain drugs, but I would trade one vice for another, which is not the way to do it. It's just not. We think it is, but it's not. We're like, well, this is the lesser evil, so I'm going to go here. Um, and maybe ultimately, if you know, well, this is the lesser evil, and I'm going to go here for a little bit, so I can go down to here, so I can go down to here, so that I can be totally free of it. Okay, then. Um, but at first, I was just totally trading one vice for another. It wasn't really the I'm gonna go down here and then get even beyond that. But at some point, it was I want to be free of all of it. Um, I need a drink. Hold on. I had to get me a Dr Pepper. I don't drink sodas often, but my sinuses are bugging me. It's that time of year. And I've got that phantom smell. I get a phantom smell when my sinuses are bothering me, and it smells like chemicals. It drives me insane. I don't. I have no idea where I was. My card was full. I should have checked it before I started recording. But if you recognize, if you're able to, you have a reaction and immediately you're like, oh my gosh, why did I just react that way? Or, you know, that was unnecessary. Or you're just totally aware of what you're doing. At some point, you'll get to a point you're in the middle of acting a fool or a butthead or whatever, and you'll be mid buttheadery, and you'll be like, oh my god, I am being a butthead. Um, and if you're there, it's time to get control over you. You're already getting control over it, but it's time to really hone in on it. Um, so Part of me thinks I was talking about drugs and vices and whatever. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah. Start telling yourself that you are not your diagnosis. You're not. That's not you. That's just something you're experiencing because you've had certain circumstances that fragmented your psyche in such a way. That's the result. That's how your brain is processing it. And you can work your way out of that. You can completely heal that. Like I said, I don't cut anymore. I am damn near free of all my addictions. And say my biggest one right now is food. It's food. And even that was on some level of control because I have the ability to fast, do intermittent fasting. Now I'm aggravated at myself at the moment because I'm struggling to do a 24-hour one a day thing, but I'm doing the where I only eat for 6 and fast for 18. So there's some level of control there, but when I have moments of freak out, here's where it's not controlled. When I have moments of freak out, I will go straight to food and eat myself into an oblivion until I just think I am going to explode. My stomach hurts so bad. I literally think it might explode. And I actually know someone where their stomach did explode, not because of overeating. It was just unfortunate. He was a kid. But so I know that your stomach can explode. So it doesn't make it any better. So yeah, I have an unhealthy relationship with food. It's an escape for me, and I'm trying to break free of that. And that one is something, I think that's the hardest one for me to break free of because I have had that one since I was about 6 years old. Um, so about 35 years of my life, I've battled this problem. Um, so it's really ingrained in there. Um, but I can do it. I can beat it. Uh, I am. I'm in the process of figuring it out. So, um, yeah, it's like I said in everything, like I said in the Kratom video, it's all a process. It all takes time, patience, practice, and love. You've got to be accountable for your actions, your decisions. Um, you you've got to get out of the victim mentality, and that's gonna a lot of people are like, I'm not a victim. How dare you call me a victim? You don't know what's happened to me. The moment you go into you don't know my life, you don't know my story. That's victim right there. And I'm only saying that because I used to have that reaction if somebody told me to get out of my victim mindset. Um, so don't feel attacked if you do say those things, and I just said that. I'm only going there because I've been there myself. Yeah, the moment you're like, well, how dare you call me a victim? You have no idea about my life or what I've been through. Yep, sounds like a victim to me. Get out of that. You are not a fucking victim. Only if you allow yourself to be. Are you going to allow yourself to be? Or are you going to like replay your shitty little story all the time? Quit replaying it. Quit replaying your story and rewrite it. Rewrite it the way you want your story to be so you have a positive outcome. It happened. It made you a stronger person. It happened for a reason. What reason? I don't know. But maybe you'll figure it out. So if you're in that, and a lot of the times, I mean, we're stuck in that. We are so stuck in our stories. And part of being stuck in our stories is identifying with the diagnosis we've been given. So, I mean, it aggravates me. I'm depressed. Okay, you may be having depressive symptoms and you probably have a good reason for it, but quit walking around affirming, I am depressed. I am depressed and I'm going to keep announcing that I'm depressed. Get out of it. Get out of it. And no, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. Because that's what everybody says. Well, if I could get out of it, I would, because I've been there. But it's you just have to make the decision. You wake up and you're like, God damn it, another day, I fucking, and you gotta go, what? No, I can't have this mentality. I have woken up. It's a beautiful day. I don't care if it's raining and muddy outside. It's a beautiful day. I'm alive. And I'm going to make the most of today. You're going to find the good things that are happening today. Focus on them. I'm not saying be like, yeah, bad shit happens and you can't, I'm not telling you to ignore the bad, but you can't totally get wrapped up in the bad. If you get wrapped up in the bad, you're just inviting more bad into your life. I mean, that's, if you're walking around mopey and depressed and life sucks, you're just going to get more of the same. Because that's your perspective. That's your perspective. Life sucks. Okay, well, life sucks. Well, here's more suck. Because that's the only way you can see it. So change your thoughts. And you can't change your thoughts with a hope and a prayer. You have to actively do it. And at first, it isn't easy. It's awkward. This does not feel authentic. You're like, today's a good day. My ass it is. I mean, you do. You go through that. Like, today's a good day. I still have those moments. Today, I am grateful for another beautiful fucking day. I have those moments. You've got to get out the aggravation and the frustration. You just can't stay there. And that's what, when you're stuck in whatever diagnosis you've been given, a mood disorder, a personality disorder, if you're depressed, if you're living in anxiety, you're just totally consumed and focused on all of that, and you cannot see the light that there is. It's your perspective is totally in this negative downward spiral. So you can come out of it. You can come out of it. It's not whatever you've been diagnosed with. It's not a life sentence. I promise you that. I'm currently going through life struggles. I'm in a situation I am not happy with at all, and last night, like I said, I had to leave because I just had to scream and get out my frustrations. But I knew I needed to release this. I had emotions inside of me I needed to get out. I recognized that. And drawing or dancing was not going to help me get it out. I needed to clear my throat chakra and just scream at the top of my lungs. So, yeah, it's, like I said, we're still human. I mean, I had a moment yesterday. Am I going backwards? Am I going backwards? And I was like, no, I'm not going backwards, because I recognize exactly what's going on. I know what I need to do to make myself feel better. I am in total control of how I am allowing my emotions to come out how I am reacting to things. For the most part, I am in control to the way I react to things. I am nowhere near, I am not going backwards. I mean, I have had moments, do I need to get back on a psychiatric medication because I've come off of it? And I was doing great, and then there is a certain situation that has occurred. It changed. There's been a change since August. I'm not going into detail, and I am yeah, and the only way for the situation to change is for me to change it, but I can't change it in an instant. It's going to take a little bit for it to change. So I need to accept the situation as it is while I work toward getting away from it. And I'm still struggling with accepting how it is because I don't like it. So, yeah. Alright, I'm sharing too much of my stuff, but recent stuff. But yeah, if you this applies to anything you can come out of it, any diagnosis you've been given. Don't identify with it. That's the main point. And again, I brought this up last year. I wanted to talk about not identifying with your mental diagnosis because it's to your detriment. And then I never came back with a video, and here we are a year later. Because I think I went 6 months without posting any video. But yeah, this is that. This is that. It came out in me starting to talk about my BPD because that was the main one. Yes, depression is with it and anxiety. I've came out of those as well. Everybody has anxiety on some certain level, but it doesn't keep me in my house. It doesn't prevent me from going out to something I was invited to go to. My biggest anxiety is still driving. I would really like to overcome that one. I have huge anxiety when it comes to driving. Again, I don't remember where I was. I'm gonna end here. Anything you've been diagnosed with, do not identify with it, and tell yourself you can break free of the symptoms of whatever it is. Remind yourself every day it is not a life sentence, and you are getting better. You are breaking free of it. Until you get to the point where you're saying, I am free of. And don't phrase it as I do not have, because you're subconsciously you're not going to pick up the not. You're just going to pick up the I do have whatever. So say stuff like I am breaking free of. Boo-boo, you okay? I think Boo-boo's got a fur ball. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to get off here. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, keep at your therapy. I hope it's helping you. The lady gave me a lot of the therapist I went to, that was my favorite, gave me a lot of valuable tools that at the time I didn't really utilize, but years later, even after seeing her, I retained everything. So if you're in therapy, I hope you have a good therapist and someone you can connect to and can really reach you. And even if it doesn't seem like they're reaching you in the moment, or it's like I knew somehow she was reaching me, it just wasn't seemingly working at that point. But I just knew I resonated with her. So if you know you resonate with your therapist, yay. Keep at it. They give you valuable, valuable tools beyond the medication you need to be on until you reach a point that they're no longer helping you. That's what happened to me. I suddenly felt like I was getting worse with the medication. But don't come off of it without talking to your doctor. And, to remind yourself, this is not a life sentence. I do not have to be like this the rest of my life. I wasn't born this way. This happened due to circumstances, due to my environment, due to certain conditioning, and I can reprogram myself into who I truly am. And I can break free of whatever it is that is going on that you feel is a burden to your life, or a hindrance, or whatever. Again, I really hope this helps somebody. Again, I just want everybody well. I want you to know you can be happy again, and you can be free. You can be free. You can be free of your mental bullcrap. I promise you can. So, I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.